Hi Whovians, Harry here, and the Doctor is dead. Well, at least how we know him. But what do I mean by that? Well, before I answer that, don't forget to subscribe, also leave a like and comment down below, and let's get in to the video. So, yes, as I said, the Doctor, that as we know him, is dead. Because, and I don't mean Doctor Who, the show, or the 14th Doctor, which I did a short on, which I think the 14th Doctor died off screen. I mean, ever since the episode Hellbent, well, Heaven Sent Hellbent, has been a fake Doctor that we've been following. So, spoiler alert from basically every episode from Heaven Sent onwards. So, in the episode Heaven Sent, the amazing episode, the 12th Doctor gets touched by the veil and dies. And the 12th Doctor makes his way back up to the room when he first entered the confession dial from the previous episode, Face the Raven, and as he basically crawls himself and whirls himself up to that floor, as he's dying, the 12th Doctor says that there's a copy of him in the hard drive from when he entered the confession dial. And as he gets into the room where he first entered his confession dial, he says that to basically restart this whole process again, he says that he's burning him, well, he's burning the old him to make a new one. So, the 12th Doctor basically confirms that he has been a clone this entire time because, well, it tells us that the 12th Doctor we've been following isn't the first time that he's been in this confession dial, because how do we know that even when we join the 12th Doctor at the start of Heaven Sent or at the start or at the end of Face the Raven, how do we know that is the first Doctor that was in this confession dial if he is burning up an old him to make a new one? We see many times throughout Heaven Sent that the Doctor goes through the same actions again and again and again. And we see him die over and over and over at the hands of the veil. So, of course, it must be a new Doctor each time. And I can prove that the Doctor is actually dead. Well, I know that you guys don't like the fact that I say prove. I figured that out in the last couple of YouTube shorts. So I won't say prove, but highly likely then that the Doctor is dead, with there being actual evidence in the episode. Because when the Doctor escapes the veil by jumping out of the window of the castle into the water, there are many skulls in the water. And these skulls are actually skulls of Peter Capaldi, the 12th Doctor, and they were originally made to portray the Ghost Doctor in the two-part Before the Flood, and I'm forgetting what the other episode was called, but that two-parter where the Ghost Doctor shows up. So it was a literal skull of Peter Capaldi. All these skulls in Heaven Sent are the 12th Doctor's skull. So how did they end up there? Well, it only makes sense that the veil killed him, and we see that he gets burnt down when we see the 12th Doctor die from our point of view, that he kind of burns down to his bones, to his skull. It just makes sense. And actually, to help me with this point, that every time the Doctor enters the confession dial or re-enters the confession dial, he is becoming a clone of himself, I am actually going to pull in from another sci-fi franchise, Star Trek. So, the 12th Doctor calls the teleporter a 3D printer that breaks down living matter and transmits it. So, of course, transmitting from Trap Street in Face the Raven to the confession dial in Heaven Sent. So, this means that every time the original Doctor travels to the confession dial. He breaks down into matter and is basically killed, only to reconstitute again to this new Doctor. And we wouldn't even know the difference, because this new Doctor would be exactly the same as the Doctor before Heaven Sent, but he would have had to be broken down into matter and be transmitted into the confession dial. So every time he is getting broken down and basically dies until he is reconstituted again, but it is with entirely new particles, because, of course, you can't get particles from one place into the other without someone actually physically being able to travel there. And the confession dial is actually not a place you can just travel in and out of without a teleporter, or in this case, a 3D printer. And what I mentioned by Star Trek is that it is a known fact that their teleporter breaks down the people, or aliens, the crew, into matter, and then, of course, reconstitutes them back down on the planet or back up in their ship when, of course, they teleport in and out of. And it is known that basically every time that happens, they basically die. It is something that fans have debated on many a time, and also even fan-made kind of shows, real shows, but our fans are like Star Trek, like The Big Bang Theory, have said many times that, everyone that was teleported in Star Trek is now dead, and we are following their clone versions. So, why wouldn't it be the same for the Doctor in Doctor Who? And actually, just to push it a bit, I do have some proof, because if you don't want to believe me, believe the writer of this episode and the whole 12th Doctor era, Stephen Moffat, because he said, and I quote, the Doctor, first teleported in the 1964 story, The Keys of Marinus. He's been a copy since then. Deal with it, kid. So, yes, even the writer himself, Stephen Moffat, says that this Doctor was a clone. Even the 12th Doctor, 11th, 10th, all the way to the first Doctor, ever since the first Doctor teleported then, he has been a clone. And he's been even more of a clone ever since his 12th incarnation entered the confession dial. And to be honest, that is crazy. But that is just my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Do you agree with me that the Doctor has been a clone ever since Heaven Sent, and, actually, has been a clone ever since The Keys of Marinus? In my whole entire life, the Doctor has been a clone. But hey, that is just my thoughts. As I said, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Also, if you like this video, don't forget to leave a like, also subscribe, and share it out, and I will see you in the next one.